so much for some news we got. Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal would never forget this humiliating performance by Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So I'm excited for this video. This is a Kobe, Shaq, and Jordan video. You know, on this channel we love Kobe, we love Jordan, we see Shaq videos, we like Shaq too, we're a fan of Shaq too as well. So it's gonna be a banger video. So if you're excited for this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. You're on the road to 10K subs. 10K subs. Let's get right into this video. I hope y'all have a great day.
February 8th, 1998, Madison Square Garden. The stage is set for one of the most iconic All-Star games in NBA history. On one end, a 19-year-old Kobe Bryant, the youngest All-Star ever, full of confidence, swagger, and something to prove. On the other, Michael Jordan, 34 years old, playing in his final All-Star game as a Chicago Bull. The league's future and its present are about to share the court. Phil Jackson is not coaching. Scottie Pippen is out with injury. Jordan stands alone, surrounded by rivals and rising stars. The East is coached by Larry Bird, the West by George Karl. Over 18,000 fans pack the Garden, but it feels like all eyes are on two players. One beginning his journey, the other is nearing the end of an era. This isn't just a game, it's a generational collision. And by the time it's over, neither Kobe Bryant nor Shaquille O'Neal will forget what Michael Jordan did that night. The opening minutes at Madison Square Garden felt like the tip of a generational collision. Michael Jordan, the face of the league for over a decade, stepped onto the court surrounded by whispers. Whispers that this was his final All-Star appearance, that the new era was arriving, that the game was ready to move on. So what did the East do on the very first play? They ran it for him. Jordan came off a pin down, caught it clean, and immediately went to work. One dribble into the paint, a slick move to shake Kevin Garnett, then rose off one foot and faded away. The shot arced high and dropped soft through the net. A vintage MJ fadeaway. His first bucket of the night, statement made. But on the other end, Shaquille O'Neal had something to say. He backed down Dikembe Mutombo, turned, and calmly buried a turnaround jumper. Shaq wasn't known for his finesse, but this wasn't about comfort. This was about proving he could do anything Jordan could, even if it wasn't his style. The East came back with something familiar, nearly identical set to Jordan's first play, this time run for Grant Hill. The result was a strong take to the rim and a soft roll-in. Hill was often compared to MJ, long, smooth, deadly in transition, and here he looked the part. Then came Penny Hardaway. After Gary Payton made the mistake of going under a screen, Penny rose and buried the open jumper. The West quickly responded. Payton jumped and spun mid-air, twisting his body in a full 360 before dropping off a perfect pass to a wide-open Kobe Bryant. The rookie calmly drilled his first All-Star jumper, his first All-Star bucket ever, 19 years old, lighting up the Garden. Garnett followed with a smooth mid-range jumper of his own. The young Wolves star was starting to look more comfortable, but Penny wasn't done. Payton went under the screen again, and Penny made him pay. Same move, same result. Wet. Shaq answered with another bully ball possession in the paint. He took his time, leaned in on Mutombo, and finished through contact once again. The West was pounding the inside. The East was running sets. Two different styles, same intensity. Then came the moment that cracked the game open. Shaq snagged a defensive board, looked up, and hit Kobe in stride. Bryant took off in transition, rose up, and threw down a 360 dunk in an All-Star game at 19. With Jordan on the court, it was fearless, wild, and absolutely electric. The Garden hadn't even settled down before the next play hit. This time, Kobe grabbed the rebound himself. He fired it ahead to Garnett, who caught it, flipped it back up, and Kobe flew in for the alley-oop. The building exploded, but Jordan was far from done. As Grant Hill missed a fast break layup, Jordan came crashing in. Elevating in traffic, he soared above everyone and threw down a violent putback dunk. The bench stood up. The crowd lost it. It was Jordan sending a message with force. Then, with Kobe now guarding him, the moment everyone came to see arrived. Jordan got the ball, faced up the rookie, and took him to work. A calm, calculated fadeaway over his left shoulder. Bucket. Nothing but net. The next time down, he did it again. Another isolation. Another fadeaway. This time, he drew the foul too. It was vintage Jordan, doing what he'd done for years. Controlling tempo, making it look easy, and reminding the future that the present still belonged to him. The first quarter ended not just with highlights, but with history unfolding in real time. Kobe brought the flash, Shaq brought the power, but Jordan, he brought the statement. As the second quarter began, the stars on the bench handed the spotlight to the reserves. But the energy in the Garden didn't dip for a second. Jason Kidd stepped in and wasted no time making an impact. He drove the lane, read the defense, and zipped a sharp pass to Mitch Richmond, who knocked down a wide-open jumper. The West was still clicking. Reggie Miller responded quickly for the East, curling off a pin down and hitting a classic Reggie mid-range jumper. It was the kind of off-ball movement that had made him deadly for over a decade. Then Kidd turned it up. On the break, he threw a no-look, over-the-top alley-oop pass to Eddie Jones, who climbed the ladder and threw it down. It was Showtime reborn, this time in a New Jersey, but the East had a shooter heating up. Glenn Rice caught fire and didn't look back. First, a three from the wing, then another from the same spot, and then a third, back to back to back. The net barely moved. Rice had gone from quiet to unconscious in less than 2 minutes. The West tried to regain control. Kidd found David Robinson in the pick and roll, and the Admiral didn't waste the opportunity. He caught the pass, rose up, and nearly brought the rim down with a two-handed slam that sent a message
Nearly brought the rim down. Okay, buddy.
of its own. Then the crowd lifted again. Jordan checked back in, and right on cue, he rose for a smooth jumper and buried it. No hesitation, no rust. The rhythm was automatic, but he wasn't done. Later, with the clock ticking, the ball found MJ once again. Kobe squared up, ready for the challenge, but Jordan never rushed. He sized him up, took his time, and hit another fadeaway over the teenage phenom. That made 3 straight possessions where Jordan had scored directly over Kobe. It wasn't personal. It was basketball, and it was master versus apprentice. But Kobe had the last moment of the half. As the final seconds ticked down, he followed a missed shot, rose above everyone, and threw down a putback dunk with 1 second left on the clock. He let out a roar. It was an exclamation mark, a reminder that he wasn't going anywhere. The starters returned to the floor, and with them came the heat. Grant Hill got things going early for the East, knocking down a smooth jumper to open the quarter. Confident and in rhythm, he looked ready to lead. But Kevin Garnett was quick to answer. He caught it in stride and drained a jumper of his own on the very next possession. The West was not backing down. Garnett then delivered the first real spark of the half. He broke loose on the break, elevated, and hammered down a vicious windmill dunk that brought the Garden crowd to its feet. It wasn't just explosive, it was a warning. The East went back to Hill, and once again he delivered. He rose and hit another mid-range jumper, smooth and steady. He wasn't trying to steal the spotlight, he was just keeping the East rolling. Then the Lakers made their presence known. Kobe Bryant threw it to Shaquille O'Neal in the post, who caught it with one hand, spun off the defender, and rocked the rim with a signature power dunk. The building shook. It was classic Shaq, force, finesse, and zero hesitation. But once again, the attention shifted to the moment everyone was watching. Michael Jordan versus Kobe Bryant. MJ got the ball on the wing, sized up the rookie, and used his footwork to fake Kobe out of position. He rose for the jumper, and Shaq came flying in to swat it, but it was too late. The refs called goaltending. Jordan just laughed, smiling as he jogged back. Even when blocked, he was still scoring. Kobe wasn't about to let it slide. On the very next trip down, he pulled up from deep and drilled a 3 right in Jordan's face. No hesitation, no fear, just buckets. The battle was on. Moments later, Kobe put together one of the most confident plays of the night. He faked a behind-the-back pass on the drive, froze the defender, and finished at the rim with style. The swagger was undeniable. The next time down the floor, the defense dared him again. This time, it was Grant Hill who sagged back. So Kobe pulled up and buried another 3. This one right over Hill. That made 2 threes and a highlight finish in a matter of minutes. The kid was cooking. Shaq followed it up with a clean right-handed hook after catching a feed from Karl Malone in the paint. It was the kind of high-low action the West had been waiting to get going. As the third quarter came to a close, the East still held the lead 101-91, but the West was gaining ground. Kobe was heating up. Shaq was controlling the paint. And somewhere across the court, Jordan tightened his laces just a little more. The fourth quarter began with the West looking to mount a comeback. David Robinson ran the floor like a guard, caught a clean pass in transition, and flushed down an easy dunk. It was the kind of effort that showed the West wasn't going to quit, not yet. But then came a reminder. This was Michael Jordan's quarter. They made the mistake of leaving him open. And in the fourth, that kind of mistake doesn't go unpunished. Jordan stepped into the shot and drilled a 3 with perfect form. No hesitation, no smile, just business. The crowd erupted. Moments later, he began orchestrating. First, he drove the lane and drew in the defense, then kicked it out to Reggie Miller on the perimeter. Miller didn't even blink, letting it fly and draining the triple. Then Jordan did it again. Nearly identical play, same result. Another 3 from Reggie. Jordan was doing it all now, scoring, passing, and controlling the tempo like a conductor. Then came the flash. Jordan caught the ball in transition, isolated against Jason Kidd, spun past him like it was 1991, and hung in the air for a gravity-defying layup that sent the building into a frenzy. It was vintage MJ. The hang time, the control, the finish. He attacked again shortly after, slicing through traffic, trying to recreate the magic. This time he missed, but Antoine Walker came flying in for the putback dunk. The East bench exploded as the lead stretched further. The West wasn't done, though. Eddie Jones drove into the paint and hit the most acrobatic layup of the night, twisting through defenders midair and kissing it off the glass. Then Kobe got the ball and answered with a move of his own. He hit Jordan with a spin, exploded to the rim, and laid it in. One last highlight from the teenager who had fought hard all game. Nick Van Exel added a surprise of his own. At 6'1", not many expected him to rise, but he did just that, throwing down a dunk with authority and reminding the world that this game still had gas left in the tank. But the outcome was no longer in doubt. The East had taken over and never looked back. Final score, East 135, West 114. When the lights faded at Madison Square Garden, one thing was clear. Michael Jordan was still the king. He finished with 23 points, 6 rebounds, and the All-Star MVP in what would be his final appearance as a Bull. Kobe brought flash, Shaq brought power, but MJ brought mastery. It wasn't just a game, it was a message. The future was bright, but the present still belonged to number 23. And as Kobe watched from across the court, he saw it firsthand. Greatness wasn't fading. It was reminding everyone why it still owned the moment.
Tough. I like that little analogy breakdown, the 1998 All-Star game. I didn't expect the video to be like that, but I still enjoyed it. Hope you did as well if you watched it. I hope all y'all also have a blessed day. And if you haven't seen me react to the 93 All-Star game already, you gotta watch it. I like that video a lot. It was playing hard. W video. But shout out to Players Unlimited Sports for this video. The video will be linked down below in the description. So my socials and Discord. It's your boy Tori Sama, and I'm out.